It is a sea of orange at the Congress Hall at the Transcorp Hilton, where we have the 4th annual Nigeria Governors Spouses Forum. This year's theme is Youth Allies, Bridging Generations to End Violence. And this all started in 2020 when a small group of governors' wives came together to tackle the menace known as gender-based violence, also known as GBV. And since then, the name has been changed to Nigeria Governors Spouses Forum. And of course, this is in the hope that we have a female governor in the nearest future on our horizon. As the forum comes together to tackle the menace that is GBV, Nigerian governors' spouses have arrived and are settling in.
It is indeed an honor and a great pleasure to welcome you, Excellencies, and our esteemed guests and participants to the occasion of the 4th annual conference of the Nigeria Governors Spouses Forum. I commend members of the forum for all our laudable and impactful interventions to support the efforts of our spouses in our respective states. The Nigeria Governors Spouses Forum has in the last 4 years actively engaged in advocacies and plausible engagements, partnerships and collaborations towards ensuring that Nigerian women and girls are positioned to harness their full potentials while leading sensitization and awareness to mitigate concerns of sexual and gender-based violence in Nigeria. Notably in this drive, the Nigeria Governors Spouses Forum amplified advocacies that led to the declaration of the state of emergency on sexual and gender-based violence by the Nigeria Governors Forum, owing to the spike in incidents of sexual and gender-based violence during the lockdown occasioned by the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020.
It gives me great pleasure to be here this morning as we mark our 4th conference as Nigerian Governors Spouses Forum. If you remember, for those of you who have been on this journey with the forum, we started out as Nigeria Governors Wives Against Gender-Based Violence when we invited you to this room in 2020. And that was because it was just for a handful of governors' wives who had expressed an interest in working on GBV issues. And then when it became apparent that every First Lady felt that they had a role to play, we decided to make it a flagship program of the Nigerian Governors' Wives Forum.
The chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum, His Excellency Abdulrahman Abdulrazak, Governor of Kwara State, underscored the importance of blending the new and the old beliefs to drive the required change.
The older generation must be deliberate in blending our understanding of various phenomena with our own beliefs and approaches to such issues. That way, we can get them to own this campaign. We really must get them to own the campaign and deploy effectively the digital skills to make it work. Regardless, we believe that Nigerian Governors Spouses Forum has over the years played key roles in helping to drive the national narrative around the issue of gender-based violence, gender parity, women and girl-child empowerment. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this year's conference is another success story, if I may say so. We believe that the forum and all of us will rise from this conference better equipped to prosecute the campaign for a more effective and inclusive society. A society that is all inclusive. Now, when I got the invitation to this event, the first thing I noticed was the change in nomenclature to Nigerian Governors Spouses Forum. Now, this clearly indicates that, well, you're ready for men to join this club. So, we look forward to fruitful deliberations, and thank you very much.
The chairman of the Ngsf was acknowledged for his outstanding contributions to the fight against gender-based violence.
I think we need to clap, but we need to stand up. I beg you people, please. Stand up and show this man gratitude. Show him what he has done for us. That's the major he for she. I am so grateful, and I know the women are so grateful
From laudable collaborations within the Nigerian government to international voices who echoed their support of the cause.
We'll continue to support you. I mean, I promise that. And then, of course, to confirm too that would also advise the chairman in terms of just prioritizing this, I mean, in our meetings. And then finally, I want to leave with a note of caution. It's important we ensure this goes beyond Abuja. I mean, and I think the first ladies have that leverage to make that happen. There's more to what we're trying to accomplish here than the ceremony here. I mean, I appreciate everything.
From what was adopted in United Nations, what it means now is that we can ask for accountability. Don't be afraid to ask. What will happen if you ask? If people are bringing money, you're not seeing the impact and you still keep quiet, that means you want it to continue. If you don't want it to continue, you speak out. I keep telling the media people, instead of looking for people to criticize, speak out on issues, ask questions. That is the major media you need to save your nation. We must all come together. All hands must be on deck to save this nation, especially now we have a listening president and a committed one who wants the nation to move forward. Like what he said, allow the poor to breathe. The only way to allow the poor to breathe is for all of us to come together and save our nation so that the poor will breathe.
Violence in its various forms continues to cast a dark shadow over communities worldwide. It is an adversary that knows no borders, respects no age, and disregards the sanctity of life. Yet, in the face of such adversity, there lies an untapped potential and strength within the youth, a force that, when harnessed and guided, can dismantle the foundations of violence and pave the way for lasting peace. The Youth Allies concept goes beyond mere collaboration. It signifies a bond, a partnership between generations. It is a call to action for the older generation to stand shoulder to shoulder with the youth, recognizing and valuing their perspectives, dreams, and the unique energy they bring to the table.
Violence against women and girls remains one of the most prevalent and pervasive human rights violations in the world. In fact, we know that in Nigeria, the Demographic and Health Survey suggests that 30% of Nigerian women and girls aged 15 to 49 have been victims of sexual violence. Allow me to also, Your Excellencies, to address you as mothers, and note that another form of violence against children is child labor. The incidence of child labor in Nigeria has been on the rise in recent times, unfortunately. The Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment in 2022 last year puts the figure at more than 15 million children in child labor. Our colleagues in the International Labour Organization are supporting some concrete initiatives, such as the Accelerated Action for the Elimination of Child Labor, and we could share more if you're interested.
The accomplishments of the governor's spouses, both as individuals and as a collective, are truly an example for other nations to follow. It was such a pleasure to meet this group recently and share our common values and common development goals. I am proud to say that, like the Nigeria Governor's Spouses Forum, USAID reaffirms that gender equality and women's and girls' empowerment are fundamental for the realization of human rights and key to effective and sustainable development outcomes.
I would also like to take this opportunity to highlight the progress that has been made and recognize the very important work that has been done by the Nigeria Governor's Spouses in doing the work that the forum has been doing, which led to the declaration of the state of emergency against sexual and gender-based violence, which was recognized throughout the world in 2020, and which has contributed to increasing the number of states that domesticated the VAP, as well as expanding efforts towards combating right now the drug abuses.
I'm not going to give you all the statistics. We'll hear those. They're awful. But they're real. And I think sometimes we come to events like this and we think that sexual and gender-based violence, violence against youth, are things that affect other people. But they're things that perhaps affect your friends and colleagues, the women in your office, your nieces, your nephews, your sisters, and perhaps worse, your daughters. So to me, the initiative that you have taken in developing the Nigeria Governor's Spouses Forum is particularly important because you are making a difference. Your role, your ownership, and your imperatives in this important subject.
We all know that gender-based violence remains one of the worst forms of human injustices that affects both men and women, with grave consequences, particularly for women and girls across the world. We know that violence not only emasculates its victims, but also robs of agency, voice, and power, unless we stop it, and we can stop it collectively. Several factors have been proffered as a cause for GBV, including culture, religion, patriarchy, and of course, gender inequality. And that's why today we're here at this high-level dialogue on sexual and gender-based violence organized by the Nigerian Governor's Spouses Forum with the theme Youth Allies, Bridging Generations to End Violence.
Each state got to exhibit products and items that thrive in their various states. Some governors' spouses spoke about the efforts that they were doing in their individual states. I want to touch on the theme for this year, of course, which is Youth Allies, Bridging Generations to End Violence. What exactly has the forum done, and of course you personally too, you can add some, on how you want to tackle this, how to involve the youth more so they understand the importance of this?
Basically, I've started second chance education. You know, our young girls who get pregnant at the early age, they stop the education. Maybe their parents will get angry and say, I'm not going to train you since you are useless. So I've started by setting up a second chance education, which is mass literacy. So in whatever level you are, you can still go to, and I made it compulsory that you go to school with your child, even if you are nursing mother, that shouldn't stop you. You go to school, and again, skill acquisition, that is the first thing I started doing to make sure that our women are learning one skill or the other. And again, we are moving to technical world, a digital world. So I set up a youth hub, and that's every girl child, after your secondary education, you go there and learn skills and computer, you'll be control literacy, because most of our girls have some potentials and the gift that God gave them. So if from there that we can actualize such a thing. And again, our youth too, I have a space for them where you come for your library, anything you want to do. You come there, maybe see a counselor first, and you see something that you have passion for. You must have passion for one or two things, then we'll start from there.
What are the peculiarities that have to do with gender-based violence in your state, Jigawa State?
Thank you very much, and I'm very much grateful to be here. So, the cases that is rampant in terms of gender-based violence in my state is rape and a few cases of sodomy, which is quite unfortunate.
Do you think it is affected by how young the girls are? Are there older women that go through this as well, or is there a specific age group that have gone through this gender-based violence?
Yes, it mostly affects younger girls. Yes.
And what are you doing in your state to encourage the girls to share information? I mean, our theme today is Youth Allies, bridging the gap, the generation gap to end violence. So what are you doing in your state to make sure that young children are aware of this violence out there and how to tackle it?
The first thing we did in my state when we came into power is that to make education compulsory for girls' child from primary to secondary school, and it is free. And also, when you are going higher to further your education, if it is in the institution owned by the state, it is also free for girl child. Yes, to obtain your NCE, your degree is free for a girl child in Jigawa State.
The conference provided a platform for engagement and collaborations.
Youth and justice to seek for those rights within the family.
The panel session started off with youth allies and was moderated by Her Excellency Hajia Hureya Dauda Lawal.
What specific initiatives or projects can be undertaken by youth to address violence within their communities?
Thank you so much, Excellency, for that question. So for me, I started my own journey as a young activist by hosting an event in my university. I received a small grant from a women's rights organization, and that allowed me to go into my university and speak about female genital mutilation. So I think the first thing that young people can do is to take initiatives, opportunities to be a voice within their communities, wherever sphere of influence they have, whether it's a university, whether it's a church, whether it's a mosque, they should take those opportunities and create their own initiatives. If you don't see something that speaks to your needs, create something that speaks to your needs.
How can technology and social media be harnessed as tools for collaboration to combat violence?
So tech and social media play a huge role in combating violence, because it really creates an environment where people can speak openly, and it's a safe space. They can write anonymously, and also social media campaigns can be launched. These can be educational. These can be places where people share their experiences, and these can be also call to actions. So social media also, you're able to reach a large audience, so you're able to mobilize a lot of support that way.
Education and awareness are key components in empowering the youth. I mean, most of the youth we are on social media these days, and creating awareness about domestic violence, gender-based violence is key. I, for one, as much as I have a PhD, I'm a doctor in engineering. I also create content and awareness about gender-based violence. I think the other day I did one about consent, trying to educate men about the need to seek consent and to be given consent before any sexual activity. For rape cases, they are high and conviction rates are low. So we need to advocate about these and educate people on ways to act accordingly and respectfully.
The NSGF and Ngsf signed an MOU and state action plan to ending gender-based violence and harmful practices. This gave way to a lively discussion with Her Excellency Mrs. Bamidele Abiodun, First Lady of Ogun State, moderating the session.
Just to seek for those rights within the family.
Fine young girl, love a day for body. This thing they call love, not serious affair. Make you think well before you agree. I beg you, if you love life, you go wait for me. It is, we've talked, my sister here has talked about what organizations are doing, but I'd like us to look at ourselves and consider what we are doing. You'll be very surprised that not many of us have children about sex education. They're going to get it, and they're going to get the wrong information. You have no control over that. I was so much for girl child. God gave me only boys. And yeah, he did that on purpose. Go deal with it. So I was happy when boys were mentioned here, because boys are critical to what we're doing. If you lift up the girl child, you don't lift up the boy child, you're going nowhere. Those are their husbands. So we must do this together, this education, this talking, and we must take it to the schools, that they open this conversation of talking about boys and girls, what is good to do and what is good not to do. I mean, this song that I sang in the 1990s, people are still singing it. You get on buses in Lagos State and they're using it. And we're so happy about that. So we have to look at ourselves as individuals. What am I doing? What have I done? What can I do? How many people in my community can I reach? It is up to us to remedy the situation, and we can. Just the conversation we're having here, do you know the rippling effect? That I'm learning a lot. I don't know about you, but I didn't come here to teach anybody. I came to learn, and I'm picking up so much that I'm going to put to good use. Let's all do that. Bit by bit, we can save our communities.
Auntie Joke Silva, yes. What role can art, culture, and media play in raising awareness about violence and promoting intergenerational collaboration in violence prevention from the perspective of older generations?
Thank you, Excellency, for that question. The creative economy, which is where art and culture belong to, our job is to tell stories. And through storytelling, there's a lot that we can do about gender-based violence and about intergenerational communication on gender-based violence and sexual violence. Let me explain by telling you two very short stories. The first story is about a young girl that is dangerously naive. And she goes into university and gets played by an older man, and unfortunately she gets pregnant. However, she has a wonderful relationship with her mother. So she tells her mother that she's pregnant and she has gone to the Babalawo to get something against this man who she was pregnant for, because the man is denying the pregnancy. And the mother goes, I understand your pain. I myself have made a mistake in not letting you know. I was over-shielding you, so I did not discuss the birds and the bees, as we call it in inverted commas, with you. And so you have gotten yourself in this situation. What I will do is this: have your baby. Have your baby. I will take and I will look after that baby. You continue your education. Make sure you continue and finish your education. I will look after your child whilst you are doing that. So she gets to go back to school and she becomes an incredible artist. That's one story. Now, the other story is about a lovely young girl who has a fantastic relationship with this boyfriend that they've been dating each other for years, and they're so in love and everything, and hey, she gets pregnant. You know how these guys are. They always expect the woman to take care of the situation. They don't remember that they can help by wearing condoms. So she gets pregnant. And they're both in school, they're about to get into their final year, they're panicking and all that, and they go to a side doctor, to a quack, and she gets an illegal abortion. And fast forward many years, she can't have any more children. Now, those two stories are stories that were told in a TV series called Owuro Lojo. And there were other stories that were told, but the arts, it travels. Entertainment travels. And there's so many things that have been discussed in those two stories. First of all, how important it is, as Auntie said, that we have constant conversations with our children, not just the girls, but the boys. Whether we like it or not, they will experiment. The more we tell them, the more we have discussions about sex, the more they will learn how to protect themselves against sexual sexually transmitted diseases. They will know how to protect themselves against that. And also, nobody in that TV series, we did not advocate for abortion, but we did advocate for safe abortion. It's very important. Whether we like it or not, these things will happen. The more we have discussions with our children, the more we have those discussions and let them tell us what their challenges are. That's the way we can get them to wait until they are married. But some will not wait. Let there be that shelter for them that can protect them for the future. So that's what we do in our community. What we do is we tell stories. We interrogate situations. And because of the kind of way we tell our stories, whether it's through film, whether it's through theater, we can sometimes go to the marketplace and show these works in the marketplace that then engenders conversation. They then get to ask us questions and we can get conversations going, whether it's with the older people or with the younger people.
Thank you very, very much, our panelists. I'll just summarize a little. We've gotten a lot of, everybody has said a lot based on their experiences, based on their areas of specialization. But what is clear is that the narrative on sexual and gender-based violence is changing. Now it is something that people talk about. It is more open. People are not afraid to talk about it. You're not alone, like Dr. Kemi said. Any woman that is going through any form of violence, and like Auntie Onyeka said, it's not just the beating that is the violence. So there's the emotional one, which a lot of people suffer, and they suffer in silence. There's a financial one that many women are not able to make decisions because they don't have the financial capacity or capability to be able to make important decisions for themselves. You know, now we know that there is support. We know that look at our mommies, look at our aunties, look at everybody. There's support. You just need to reach out and you get support. And the youth these days are very expressive and they're open to learning. And the older ones, we the older ones are there to support them. But we also need to stop depositing into the bank of patriarchy. I'm not saying that we should not respect our men. I am not saying that they are not the heads of our household. I am just saying that there are a lot of things, judging from what our panelists have said this afternoon, that our men and our women, but more our men, have learned from culture that they need to unlearn, such that they can relearn what is new, or the new ways that will be beneficial to the women and the men and to the generations that are coming. If we sat here for another 4 hours, we'll continue talking, and the entire hall will still be captivated by the things that we're talking about. But unfortunately, we have to wrap this up, and we hope that the next time we're here, we'd have made some transformative, some moves, some things that would have made some moves such that we'll come here to account and say, well, this is where we were last year. This is what we have achieved this year by the grace of God. Thank you very much for listening, everybody.
After an engaging day at the Transcorp Hilton, the 4th annual conference of the Nigeria Governors Spouses Forum on Gender-Based Violence was not just a conference, it was a collective pledge, a call to action. The chairperson of the Ngsf, Her Excellency Ambassador Professor Olufolake Abdulrasak, reiterated the need for public engagement.
with the United Nations Women and the Nigeria Governor Spouses Forum, we collaborated to host a training for new First Ladies. If you realize, in May 2023, we had about 19 new First Ladies come on board, and obviously a lot of them had never done anything relating to sexual and gender-based violence before. So we had to put forward this training, which was very detailed, well received, and a lot of them were very, very happy that that training took place. If you see, all the First Ladies were able to do various things within their states to mark this occasion of the 16 days activism against sexual and gender-based violence this year. And that meant that we now came together with UN Women and did a call to action, which means that this would dictate, what we're doing in this space, coming forward this 2024. So we're going to strengthen collaboration with the Ministries of Women Affairs in our state to facilitate effective and efficient multi-sectoral collaboration, coordination needed. Most of the First Ladies are the chairpersons of the sexual and gender-based violence committees in their states, a lot of them. So, they need to, know what to do. Most of the time, the Women Affairs ministries are the secretariat of these committees. And then, so they have to do a lot together with us. So we're going to champion advocacy. As you know, most First Ladies, that's what we do. We advocate, advocate, advocate. We use our various fora to be able to sensitize people. We make sure we call people up and they do things. And we'll continue to advocate for this, for the implementation of the Violence Against Person Prohibition Act in the one state that's left, and the Child's Right Act, to make sure that this goes on, and then to make sure that in line with the 16 days activism, we collaborate with the Nigeria Governors Forum, Ministry of Women Affairs, Ministry of Justice, I think you heard on that day during the conference where the Minister of Women Affairs talked about the special courts. Yes, so, to try and collaborate with them to make sure that there's special courts on GBV for prompt dispensation of justice, and to see that action is taken regarding this so that it doesn't drag. It's when it drags that, you now have witnesses withdrawing, not coming forward, and so many of these things. So we look forward to working with them on these special courts.
She also affirmed the call to action on SGBV in collaboration with the UN Women.
We also advocate for the establishment of sexual assault referral centers where there are not any. I don't know if you're aware, but we, the Nigeria Governor Spouses Forum, were able to come together with our sponsors from Ford Foundation and MacArthur Foundation. We were able to equip about 12 SAC centers in 12 states, including Kwara, including Niger, I think including Ekiti, a few states. We were able to do that. So we want to, so now I think across the country we have about 42 SAC centers. These are sexual assault referral centers. So we're hoping that we can get more of these SAC centers in more states. So we're advocating for more SAC centers to be established by government, by the state governments, offices of the First Ladies, and then we are going to try and get our partners to help us to equip more SAC centers in some other states. This is partly what we're going to do. And then sustain engagements with traditional and religious leaders in transforming harmful social practices that perpetuate and reinforce violence against women and girls.
We have heard many voices about the importance of combining the wisdom of the older generation and the energy and innovation of the younger generation. As the theme today says, Youth Allies. And with that, we come to the end of the 4th annual conference of the Nigeria Governors Spouses Forum.
Don't be sad, understand, yeah, that everybody has a day when the sun stays away, yeah. Take heart, come on, in a new tomorrow. A little more love each way makes for a brighter day, yeah. never need worry. Let one love set you free. Help me sing it, people. Come on now. Oh yeah, living in a world is a struggle just staying alive. Yes, it will. Living in a world, it's a struggle just staying alive.